Robert Lee Frost was born on March 26, 1874 in San Francisco, California. His work was first published in England before being published in America, and he is highly regarded for his realistic depictions of rural life and his grasp of the American colloquial speech. The inspiration for The Road Not Taken came from when he was living in England in 1914 with his friend and fellow poet, Edward Thomas. Together they would often go on walks in the countryside, and Thomas would choose a route that showed Frost a rare plant or a special flower. But it would often happen before the end of the walk, Thomas would regret the choice that he made and would sigh over what he might have shown Frost. Robert Frost found something somewhat romantic in regretting what might have been, so as soon as he went back to America, he wrote the poem, The Road Not Taken. In the poem, we see that there's a choice being made on what road to take, and in the second line it says, "And sorry I could not travel both." There's a sense of regret in the speaker that he could only take one road, even though he wanted to experience both paths.
So today we're talking about themes. So today's themes we're going to talk about are the themes of choices, exploration, and dreams. The theme of choice is prevalent in The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. As explained in the quote, "Two roads diverged in the woods, and sorry I could not travel both." This quote shows that right at the beginning of the poem, the narrator has to choose between path A and path B. This choosing of paths shows that the theme of choices in the poem is implied. This theme of choices shows that the choices in the poems cannot be repeated and therefore affect the narrator's plans, dreams, and hopes. Speaking of dreams, hopes, and plans, that's another major theme. The theme of plans ties closely into the theme of choices. Dreams, hopes, and plans of the narrator can change drastically depending on what path he takes on the road. The theme of plans is shown in the quote, "I doubt if I should ever come back," which implies that if the narrator chooses to go on one path, his plans may change for better or for worse. Since we've been talking about themes this entire time, exploration! Despite the name of the poem, The Road Not Taken, none of the roads are really less traveled by. A piece of evidence to back this up is, "And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no steps had trodden black." This quote implies that the narrator's paths are actually only his own, and that no one else has taken them. Upon deeper analysis of these themes, it shows that this little poem actually has a pretty complex message. And now, on to Alex and Ethan.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about imagery and how that has to contribute to the theme. So, imagery paints pictures in the reader's mind that he can visualize in his head. And this comes to the theme of intrigueness because it describes everything in the poem except for the road that he took. It keeps you intrigued trying to figure out why he took that road and everything. So, it's just interesting. Okay, so now we're going to talk about dreams, hopes, and plans. That thing. And here's a quote. "And looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth." Here he can't see his dreams, hopes, and plans because there's a bend in the road. So he picks the other road. And later on he says, "Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back." He has probably heard of people that have taken the road with the undergrowth, and he knows that all paths will meet. So he decides to take the one less taken.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, there are just a handful of literary devices that are used. They are imagery, which Robert Frost commonly uses in his poems, diction or choice of words, metaphor, which this poem is based around, and a cliffhanger ending. A few phrases of imagery that are used are diverged in a yellow wood, grassy and wanted wear, and leaves no step had trodden black. Frost's imagery creates a self-made movie inside the reader's head and allows them to see what the speaker sees. Frost's diction or choice of words is rather informal. This informal speech helps the reader to stay engaged and listen to the true meaning of the poem. The Road Not Taken is based around the metaphor that the two roads is not really what the poem is about. Instead, it is about the correlation between the decision between the two roads and long-term choices we make in life. The road not taken is based around the metaphor that the two roads is not really what the poem is about. Instead, it is about the correlation between the decision between the two roads and long-term choices we make in life. The ending of the poem is rather open-ended. Frost leaves the audience wondering why he took the road less traveled by, and if the difference that he describes in the final line is a positive one in the end.
Robert Frost was a great poet. He often wrote about nature as well as his surroundings and his feelings. He was deeply affected by loss in his life and often kept to himself. He compares to Emily Dickinson like this, as she was always secluded and didn't talk to many people. However, Frost was highly recognized during his lifetime, winning 4 Pulitzer Prizes among many other awards. While Dickinson was not recognized during her life, all of her great works were released post-mortem and she died secluded and alone, which is just like Frost.